As of 3 o'clock Central Time, Tuesday, November 4th, the trade deadline has come and passed, and the Chiefs, led by Brett Veach, did not make a move. And Chiefs fans are angry. The Jets, on the other hand, traded away half their team, seemingly, and they were able to grab 4 first-round draft picks that will be given to them over the next 2 drafts. They traded 2 all-pro players in Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams and obtained 4 first-round draft picks from those 2 players. They had mentioned they were happy to trade Breece Hall for a 3rd-round pick, and earlier in the day, the Chiefs had leaked that Brett Veach was comfortable trading up to a 4th-round pick for any player that they deemed as a good fit for Kansas City. Chiefs fans were all over the internet today during the trade deadline, clamoring for the Chiefs to do something, to make a move, to make a trade, to pick up Breece Hall. But the trade deadline came and went. The Chiefs never budged from that 4th-round spot that they were willing to trade away. The Jets never budged from that 3rd-round pick they were looking for in compensation for Breece Hall. And there you have it. The Chiefs do not make a move to pick up Breece Hall, much to the chagrin of Chiefs fans everywhere. And Kansas City will go forward with the roster as is, which means that Brett Veach has taken his big stamp of approval and put it on this Chiefs roster, warts and all, and said that this group is good enough to get the job done this year. Now, Chiefs fans were quick to point out that if the Jets were asking for a 3rd-round pick and Kansas City was willing to trade a 4th-round pick, why are we splitting hairs here? They're close enough. You should be able to just pull the trigger to make the trade, get Breece Hall. The problem with that is that Breece Hall is on the last leg of his rookie contract, and he's going to be looking for a long-term deal after the end of this season. So essentially, you're taking a risk when you trade that 3rd-round pick for a player who might not be playing for you next season. I think the Chiefs would have been more willing to make this move had they had an option to lock down Breece Hall long-term without having to sign him to a franchise tag next year if they wanted to keep him. Who knows what would happen if the Chiefs got Breece Hall, but I guarantee he would have been wanting to get paid at the end of the season, and you never know. The Chiefs may get Breece Hall in free agency next offseason. So we'll see what happens with that, but Brett Veach was unwilling to trade a 3rd-round pick, and many Chiefs fans online were also quick to point out the draft picks that Brett Veach has made in the 3rd round, they have not been that successful. His best draft pick in his 7 or 8 years as the Chiefs GM in the 3rd round was Leo Chenal. Now, granted, we all love Leo Chenal, but he is not an all-pro or even a Pro Bowl caliber player at this point in his career. Look back to John Dorsey, and the years he drafted, and he was getting all-pro players like Travis Kelce in the 3rd round. Jamal Charles was drafted in the 3rd round. So the Chiefs have had success in the 3rd round in the past. A lot of other teams have had success in the 3rd round in the past. So what I want to say to Veach is, if you are unwilling to trade that pick for Breece Hall, obviously you know you have concerns he's not going to be around next year. But if you're unwilling to trade a 3rd-round pick for a player who could help this team win this year, then you better start making good on those 3rd-round picks that you're drafting. Make next year's 3rd-round pick count for this Chiefs roster. Bring in a good player, and then all will be well, and Chiefs fans will put their pitchforks down. Speaking of those pitchforks, I don't quite get it because Brett Veach has been part of this Chiefs monumental run over the last 7 years, making it to 7 straight AFC championship games. And so I don't get the fans who want to get the torches and pitchforks out and, storm his house and all that good stuff, or they're so angry with him. I mean, we have a lot to be happy about. Brett Veach has done well enough to provide talent to this Chiefs roster, even though they continually draft at the end of the draft. And so at the end of the round, every round of the draft. And so I think that we should maybe pump the gas a little bit on hating Brett Veach until things go worse. But there are glaring holes with this Chiefs roster. They have glaring hole at the running back position, which they don't want to fill. They have a glaring hole at the defensive tackle position. The running back position is not going to get fixed. Andy Reid has decided that he's going to just try to throw the ball at Mahomes as much as possible, and maybe that's his MO anymore. That's what he wants to do. Back in the day when he had Jamal Charles or LaShawn McCoy or Kareem Hunt early on, he was running the ball a healthy amount. But I can't see Andy Reid nowadays, even if he had a prime Kareem Hunt, taking the ball out of Mahomes' hands too much. I think he wants to throw the ball, and I think that's where their success is going to be with this team. It rides on the back of Mahomes. They have the receivers for this team to be successful with Mahomes. So we'll see how that goes. Moving to the defensive tackle position or defensive line position, the Chiefs were manhandled by the Bills, and we'll talk about the Bills game in just a second. But the problem with the Chiefs' defensive line is the obvious lack of talent and the decline of Chris Jones. I was looking at PFF grades over the years for Chris Jones, and he had consistently been an 80 or a 90, and this year he's in the 60s. He has had a steep drop-off, and why has he had this steep drop-off? It's because of a multitude of reasons. It could be with his conditioning or his body. Maybe he needed to lose a little weight before the season started, or it could be the fact that he's getting double-teamed on nearly every single darn play that he's out there. In addition to that, he's getting a tick older. And also, to compile things and make things even worse, he's getting overused this year. He needs a little more rest. Combine all these things together, and you see a stark contrast in Chris Jones' production between last year and this year. That doesn't mean he can't turn it around, but I think the best way to alleviate this problem for the Chiefs to get more out of Chris Jones is to give him more time on the sideline to catch his breath between plays, rest him some so he can be ready to finish out the year and be ready for the postseason. But the Chiefs are going to have problems with their defensive line and their running back room for the rest of the year. The Chiefs are just going to have to live with that, and we'll see if it's good enough for them to make it back to the Super Bowl again.
Prophet X, America's #1 sports prediction market, is a peer-to-peer sports prediction market where users play against each other instead of a sports book versus the house. You will almost always get the best price on any spread, money line, total, or player prop since you're playing against other people rather than the book. Prophet X offers sweepstakes-based dual currency system, either Prophet Points or Prophet Cash, and operates across 40 states. Use the promo code RGR and claim up to $200 in Prophet Cash on all plays for the first 30 days playing on the site. Prophet X gives you the best lines in the space, and you can even set your own odds on specific wagers on your players, all at Prophet X. Go there and use the code RGR. Terms and conditions apply.
But speaking of that Bills game, that was a terrible loss to the Chiefs. There's no reason the Chiefs' offense should have only scored 21 points in that game. The talent disparity between the Chiefs' wide receiver group and the Bills' secondary room was a mile wide. The Chiefs in this game were absolutely outcoached. Bottom line, the Bills were happy to drop 8 in coverage all game long, and the Chiefs refused to run, even though Kareem Hunt was getting 4.5 yards per carry on 11 carries, mind you, and a lot of those carries were goal line attempts that didn't get anywhere. If they would have fed Kareem Hunt in that game, I think there's a different outcome. In addition to that, some of the Chiefs' decision-making in key parts of the game was very suspect. I almost wonder if the Chiefs are holding on to things or masking what they're trying to do later on in the year and giving the Bills, I guess, some bait for later in the year so they can catch them again. I mean, that's the only way I can describe and explain what happened in that game, is that there has to be more to it because the Chiefs were outcoached so badly. And maybe that's partly to explain why the Chiefs are 0-5 now in the regular season versus Josh Allen and the Bills, but they are undefeated in the playoffs. Maybe the Bills take the bait, and Andy Reid is laying traps for later. But we'll see in the playoffs. I think right now that's the best explanation I have for just how badly the Chiefs schematically were in that game in terms of their play calling, the the decisions that were made on key positions in the game, key third downs, key fourth downs. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year, but that was a game I thought the Chiefs were going to win handily because of the talent disparity, and the Chiefs were just outcoached. They lost in the trenches, and now they're heading into their bye week with kind of egg on their face. This is a 5-4 football team that has only one good win, even though they've played, 3 or 4 good opponents. And one of the best predictors for playoff success is how well did you do versus playoff teams during the regular season. So the Chiefs are going to be facing 2 more back-to-back really good teams after they get back from the bye. First they'll see the Broncos, then they'll see the Colts. And if they can't beat those teams and they end up going 5-6, boy, we better hope we can just get into the playoffs as a wild card at that point in time. So right now, the AFC West title is up for grabs, and it's more up for grabs than it's ever been in the last 9 years for Kansas City. But coming back from the bye, the Chiefs are going to look to simplify and focus on things that work. That's an Andy Reid MO. He'll review what happened before the bye, and then after the bye, he'll apply things that worked for the team and use that paradigm going forward. Now, you would think because of this, the Chiefs would be incredible following the bye. Oh, wait, they are. Andy Reid is very good following the bye. But in totality, their record before the bye and their record after the bye, considering all games, so they've got 7 or 8 games left after the bye this year, their win percentage is about the same between those two groups. It's 2 percentage points higher. 2 percentage points higher for after the bye as opposed to before the bye in terms of their winning percentage. So I think their winning percentage before the bye with Mahomes is something like 0.77. Their winning percentage after the bye is 0.79. So a little bit of an improvement, but they're really going to need to improve in 2025 if they want to win the AFC West. But help is on the way after the bye because Josh Simmons is coming back. The team has a chance to rest some of their players. Isaiah Pacheco will be coming back. And hopefully the offensive line is ready to be a cohesive unit going forward from this point in time. Kudos to the Chiefs for never leaking what was going on in Josh Simmons' personal life. Personally, I hope that whatever Josh Simmons has going on, he's in a better place now mentally and he's able to play the game that he loves. And I hope that whatever happened is in the rearview mirror in his life and doesn't creep back up, whatever it was that happened. But once again, kudos to the Chiefs team for keeping that on lockdown. And it's personal information. It's personal situation. It should be personal. This is Josh Simmons' business, no one else's. So he's going to return and go back to playing left tackle so good that he looks like a human that was synthetically created in a lab to play left tackle. That's how good of left tackle Josh Simmons plays. But the thing about this Chiefs offense that I think has really haunted them so far and something they can really improve upon after the bye is that the pass blocking, the offensive line play has been very inconsistent in 2025. And that was not supposed to be the case. This team was supposed to get Josh Simmons at left tackle. They had moved Kingsley Suamataia to left guard. Their interior offensive line was set. And Jawan Taylor, for all his problems with getting penalties, whenever he's not getting penalized, he's a pretty good blocker. So this offensive line was supposed to be great. And we have seen total inconsistency with this offensive line because of injury and whatever other reasons. So if I'm Andy Reid and I'm coaching this football team, I am hammering down on this offensive line to get it together and become more consistent. I think that if this offensive line can get more consistent to finish out the year and play up to their potential, then the sky is the limit for this Chiefs offense because they have the players at wide receiver. They have Mahomes. Pacheco and Hunt are good enough to get the job done. They're not going to be, top half of the league, but they're good enough to get the job done and win in the playoffs for Kansas City. So I think there's hope for this Chiefs team, but it starts in the trenches. You can't have games like they had versus the Bills where the Chiefs get dominated on the trenches on both sides. That's never going to get the job done. They have a huge test versus the Broncos coming up, and we'll see if their offensive line can finally solidify themselves as being one of the top units in the NFL and look the part. Now's your chance in the comments to let me know what you think about the Breece Hall deal. Do you think the Chiefs are going to be able to get to the AFC Championship game again this year, or are you really doubting them after their 5-4 start? Let me know down in the comments. But this is Gary signing out. A little disappointing the Chiefs that didn't make a move during the trade deadline today, but I think Brett Veach gave his stamp of approval, and he's done a pretty good job for 7 years in Kansas City. So I guess we'll march forward, and we'll see if the Chiefs team can solidify their offensive line, solidify their play in the trenches, and who knows, maybe we'll be looking at another playoff spot, another run to the AFC Championship game, and potentially Super Bowl. But right now, the Chiefs have a lot of work ahead of them, and it comes down to the coaching, in my opinion, that's going to make this team win or lose down the stretch. But this is Gary signing out. Thank you for sticking through the whole video. Hit that like button if you've not done so already, and then subscribe as well. We got nothing but love for everyone that subscribes and everyone that watches the video. Thank you. This is Gary signing out.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.